Keeping a close eye on your forecast, starting to already see some of those pop-up showers and thunderstorms, but how's the rest of your weekend shaping up? I'll be breaking down all of your forecast details coming up.
And President Trump says a new trade agreement with China is good for both countries and will push other world leaders to make a deal. Those details coming up. Plus,
the Supreme Court ends its term with a major ruling on judicial authority impacting birthright citizenship. I'm Rebecca Castor at the Supreme Court with the details coming up.
First on the Gulf Coast with breaking news and weather. Fox 10 Midday starts now.
Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. You're watching Fox 10 Midday right now. We've finally made it to the weekend. I'm Ashley Mitchell.
And I'm Jennifer Lambers.
Okay, Jen, it's been a long week for me. I would love to just go sit on the beach and relax. Any good news for me this weekend?
Well, the good news is that the beaches are looking beautiful out there. We have some better rip currents. They're low out there, so improving water conditions. You'll still have to keep in mind, though, we have the heat and the humidity, so stay hydrated, and then pop-up showers and thunderstorms possible. Yep, so summertime pattern continues. Just remember, the main takeaway with those thunderstorms is don't be too concerned, especially if you're visiting us, if you're a local, if you're heading on out towards the beach, because it's our typical summertime pattern. We have rain chances every single day in the summer. It's a broken record. They pop up mainly in the afternoon and the evening, and some of those even stay further inland, so not too concerned about the immediate coastline. But if you do see any of those thunderstorms, just make sure you go inside your vehicle in case you do start to hear any of those rumbles of thunder, see any of that lightning. Just make sure you're being careful out there and just wait it out because it'll start to move past. Taking a look at conditions across the southeast, just starting to see some of that cloud cover, some offshore showers. Some of these already beginning to fire off closer towards our Mississippi counties. Really things turning a bit more active on the north side of Biloxi there, looking in just a little bit closer. Not so much impacting Hurley, but you can still start to hear some of those loud lightning strikes, those rumbles of thunder. Van Cleve also starting to see some of those. So in case you're heading out on I-10 anytime soon, you're heading towards the Mississippi side, you will start to see some of the impacts from those showers and thunderstorms. Just make sure you drive carefully. Everywhere else, quiet in our area, but we will start to introduce more of those showers and thunderstorms heading into the rest of today. Live look outside, Bayway traffic moving smoothly. In case you're heading eastbound, westbound, already slow this morning, heading westbound. So just pack your patience, especially as we head closer towards the holiday week ahead of us. Temperatures resting in the mid 80s right now, feeling more like 93 because of that slight uptick in humidity. Temperatures all across our area, mid to upper 80s right now, but feeling more like the 90s out there. It's hot, toasty, already seeing some triple digits out there, but I'm going to talk more about your forecast and what you can expect for this weekend. That's coming up in just a little bit. Ashlyn.
Jen, thank you. Starting with national news this morning, on the final day of its term, the Supreme Court issued a slew of rulings, including a major decision on President Trump's attempt to end birthright citizenship for the children of illegal immigrants. And as Fox's Rebecca Castor reports, this ruling comes with other implications.
In a monumental ruling from the Supreme Court, the Trump administration could soon be allowed to deny citizenship to children of illegal migrants born in the U.S. The justices ruling 6-3 to limit nationwide injunctions, meaning President Trump's executive order on this may soon take effect.
It is really surprising that the Supreme Court chose the birthright citizenship question as the vehicle for ending nationwide injunctions. It's going to create a lot more chaos.
This case centered on the 14th Amendment, which says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. But the justices didn't weigh in on whether the children of illegal migrants are protected by that. Instead, their decision focused solely on the rights of lower courts to influence policy across the country, a right the justices say is limited.
What's going to happen now is that the Trump administration will have to stop its executive orders only in the courts where those judges decide against them, but still be able to pursue their policies in the rest of the country.
Since Trump has returned to office, federal judges have issued more than 40 nationwide injunctions blocking his agenda. This ruling likely overturns many, if not all of those. In a dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor says the parents of children covered by the citizenship order would be well advised to file promptly class action suits and request temporary injunctive relief. With the constitutional question of who the 14th Amendment protects still unanswered and that push for more legal action, this issue could end up back here next term. From the Supreme Court, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
And the White House taking a victory lap today after President Trump announced he signed a new trade deal with China. The full details haven't been released yet, but it's focused on lowering American tariffs on Chinese imports in exchange for concessions from China on shipments of rare earth materials to the U.S. But it's still not clear what the final tariffs on Chinese goods will be. Right now, it's 10% under a temporary deal with Beijing, but that does expire in August. And the Chinese government says it expects to see significant tariff relief after that. And with the China deal almost complete, the president is now pivoting to other major trading partners.
We hope that the United States side will work with China to implement the important consensus reached.
We're having some great deals. We have one coming up, maybe with India, very big one, where we're going to open up India.
President Trump has set a July 9th deadline for world leaders to make that deal, or he says tariffs will go up significantly. Well, this 4th of July deadline may still be a week away, but this is a complicated process, and it needs to get moving this weekend if Republicans have any hope of meeting President Trump's deadline. The president optimistic yesterday that his big, beautiful spending bill will reach his desk by July 4th, but this is going to be dicey. Democrats seem to delight in the latest drama for the bill that would extend Trump's tax cuts from his first term, but would trim entitlement programs like Medicaid to help offset those costs.
Their big, beautiful bill is buckling under its own weight.
Mr. President, can Congress finish this by July 4th?
We hope so.
And while the president may be the leader of the free world, the most powerful person in Washington right now may be Elizabeth McDonough. Not exactly a household name, but as a Senate parliamentarian, she determines whether the bill adheres to complicated Senate rules to bypass a filibuster. And among other issues, new Medicaid cuts, she says, cross the line. And that sends Senate Republicans back to square one. So now those Senate Republicans will spend the weekend trying to make the new numbers work to ultimately get this to the president's desk 1 week from today. Well, advocates and state lawmakers came together to voice concerns about possible federal funding cuts to food assistance and health care. Yeah, groups like Alabama Arise believe if Congress passes President Trump's proposed 2026 budget, it will negatively impact families in our state. The bill could cut nearly $300 billion to SNAP over the next decade and would shift part of the benefit costs to the state. Advocates say there is a lot at stake, with more than 750,000 people in Alabama who depend on SNAP benefits. Meantime, U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville says changes are being made and they're going back to the drawing board on a lot of the bill.
Alabama has one of the higher food insecurity rates and one of the lower abilities to pay these fees. We're talking about a climate in which hunger rates continue to rise, and the most vulnerable in our community need us more than ever.
We don't want anybody to go hungry. That's not the point of this. We want everybody to have great health care. What we want to do is get people out of our country that has taken up our education system, that has taken up our health care system, that has taken away our SNAP and our food stamps.
The U.S. Senate could vote on this plan this week as they debate through the cuts to Medicaid and address debt concerns with the bill. Well, in local news now, Atmore police making more arrests in connection to a shooting that left a 17-year-old dead and a young woman injured. Police arresting 18-year-old Timothy Sanders, 19-year-old Kareem McKenzie, 20-year-old Xavier Bradley, and one juvenile. Sanders, McKenzie, and Bradley are pictured right there on your screen. The suspects booked into the Escambia County Detention Center on charges of murder and attempted murder. Now, the second suspect arrested in the case, Javarius Watkins, turned himself in at the Escambia County Jail yesterday. He's also facing murder and attempted murder charges. And Tyler Hall was arrested Tuesday night and faces the exact same charges. Well, now to a follow-up on a shooting at a Bay Minette birthday party back in May. Police say a suspect is in custody in connection to that crime. This is 28-year-old Decarius Andrews facing murder charges. This arrest comes after the shooting death of 21-year-old Durante Booker. Booker, we're told, was found dead in a yard on Daphne Road with multiple gunshot wounds. Police say they saw Andrews running from a large party where the shooting happened. Well, Thailand approves a new cannabis law, plus a normally routine step in preparing for flu season coming under scrutiny. We've got both of those stories straight ahead. But first, Jen, a hot and humid weekend for us.
On your forecast, plus also on your traffic conditions out there. And taking a look at our traffic tracker right now, in case you're heading out the door anytime soon, if you're traveling from Baldwin County to Mobile County, get ready, either pack that patience or take the causeway. Heavy congestion on I-10 westbound. It's backing up from Wallace Tunnel all the way back towards 181. So again, detour through Spanish Fort, take the causeway, jump on just before Wallace Tunnel in case you are heading that direction anytime soon. I'll talk more about your forecast and keep an eye on your traffic conditions throughout the rest of Fox 10 Midday. More's on the way. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back into Fox 10 Midday on your Friday. Despite criticism for the appointment of anti-vaxxers to the Trump administration's vaccine advisory panel, the group recommended seasonal flu vaccines, but they respected those whose fear of mercury by addressing their concerns. The group will help determine who should be vaccinated against a long list of diseases and when those recommendations have a big impact on whether insurance covers vaccines and where they're available. Fox News correspondent Alexandria Hoff is breaking it down for us from the White House.
Preparation for the flu season is underway as the Trump administration's vaccine advisors endorse this fall's flu vaccine.
We'll listen to various views and opinions, both from scientists but also from the public.
The recommendation comes with a caveat. The flu shots should be free of a preservative anti-vaccine groups have tied to autism. The ingredient, thimerosal, has been used to prevent contamination, but it contains a small amount of mercury. It is used in less than 5% of U.S. flu vaccinations.
If we care about public health, we should try to minimize exposure to mercury.
This is an old issue. There are many aspects, I think, that we could discuss, but we don't have time to go into it here.
These endorsements come after Kennedy fired the 17-member vaccine advisory committee and handpicked replacements. That includes several vaccine skeptics. The two-day meeting of the group drew protests in support of the CDC and former committee members. Meanwhile, Kennedy is praising another part of his agenda coming to fruition, touting the success of companies voluntarily pledging to phase out artificial food dyes.
The great thing about it is that we have not had to regulate. We have not had to drop that hammer. We're getting this extraordinary outpouring of enthusiasm and cooperation.
The vaccine panel also backed a new option, an antibody shot to protect infants from RSV, a respiratory virus dangerous for babies. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
And new this morning, a new law in Thailand now bans the sale of cannabis without a prescription. The order comes 3 years after becoming the first country in Asia to decriminalize the plant. And the order now bans shops from selling cannabis to customers without a prescription and even reclassifies cannabis buds as a controlled herb, which is affecting the bottom line at local dispensaries.
We need to really just look at it as what it is. It is a plant. It is a living thing. It's not dangerous unless someone do something with it. It can't run over and hit you like a truck. It can't it can't force you to smoke it.
And according to the order, a violation of the medical marijuana law could result in a maximum 1-year jail term and a fine mounting to about $600 overall. Well, the 4th of July is now just a week out, and AAA projects a record number of people plan to get away. The vast majority of those traveling for the holiday will be hitting the roads. The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency is preparing for those packed roads and also offering advice to ensure you have a safe trip. Captain Jeremy Burkett with the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency says their goal is to make sure everyone has a fun trip and returns home safely. So not only will state troopers be out in full force on the roadways, they'll be on the water too. They're reminding you to buckle up every ride, every time. That goes for seatbelts in the car and life jackets on the water. Of course, don't speed, rest before you roll. drowsy driving is deadly, and drive sober.
If you take something inside your body that changes your ability to safely, again, operate a vessel or a motor vehicle, if you're stopped, that means you're impaired. By Alabama law, if you're impaired, you cannot operate a vessel or a motor vehicle. So that's the message that we want to drive home. And again, that's just to keep people safe.
And another good tidbit of information before you head out on the water, file a float plan, meaning tell someone where you're going and when you'll be back.
Taking another look at your forecast and a live view outside. We're taking it further out east, and we're going to be taking a view down on Crab Island in Destin. Traffic moving smoothly out there. Quite a few boats getting out and enjoying it for this Friday. We are heading into a holiday week, only anticipating our beaches to turn much more crowded over the next few days and only extending into next weekend. So do keep that in mind. But the good news, it's looking stunning out there. We'll take a few more views across the Gulf Coast heading into the rest of the hour. But the temperatures out there, it's warming up. We're resting in the mid 80s in both Gulf Shores and Pensacola. Dew points, a little bit of an improvement out there in comparison to what we saw at the beginning of the week. More of those upper 60s, the lower 70s. So feels like temperatures, they are straying away, but they're not straying away too much out there. We're just feeling 4 degrees warmer closer towards Pensacola and just feeling 7 degrees warmer in Gulf Shores. Heading into the remainder of this afternoon, daytime high is going to be maxing out really the mid to upper 80s and the lower 90s. These temperatures are an improvement in comparison to what we saw closer towards Tuesday and Wednesday when we were maxing out in the mid 90s. So instead of being above average, we're actually a degree below it heading into the rest of today. Morning temperatures right around where we should be starting off, and luckily we are nowhere near a record. That previous one, 100 degrees, set back in 1952. Now, do keep in mind, however, that we'll be feeling warmer out there, but this is better because we noticed that little bit of a downward tick in the humidity out there. Our dew points are a little lower, so it's improvements, less of the triple digits, just more of those mid 90s out there. It's still hot, it's still toasty. Really something you might not notice too much unless you are working outside, but just make sure that you are staying hydrated, taking breaks, finding AC, and get creative with some of those ways to cool down. Over the next few days, those heat indices, they're going to continue right around what we're seeing for today. More of those mid 90s, some upper 90s coming into play heading into next week. Better in comparison to those triple digits that we have been seeing out there. But again, still just make sure that you are staying hydrated if you're spending any time outside. Timing things out on our futurecast, we will start to see more of that rain coverage ramping up heading into the rest of today. So starting off this morning, seeing some of that sunshine, a few clouds out there, some pop-up showers and thunderstorms already making an appearance closer towards coastal Mississippi. But as we make it into the early part of the afternoon, we're still staying quiet. This is our typical summertime pattern. So we're really going to start to introduce more of that rain coverage by 3 and 4 o'clock. Some of these could contain some heavy downpours, some gusty winds, some frequent lightning, loud thunder, and also small hail will still be the potential for any of those storms out there. We already saw some of that at the beginning of this week. More of that rain coverage begins to ramp up closer towards 5 and 6 o'clock. Random where they start to develop. I mentioned that it stays mostly quiet closer towards our coastal areas. So on the north side of I-10, looking a lot better right along that I-10 corridor. So just make sure that you're being cautious. But once that sun begins to set closer towards 8 o'clock, those storms, they lose that fuel of daytime heating, and then they start to fizzle out and they lose some of that strength. Still an isolated one possible overnight, but that rain coverage goes down. The rip current risk at our local beaches, it looks nice out there. It's low today and tomorrow. However, once we get closer towards Sunday and heading into the early part of next week, it will be bumping up to moderate. Regardless, be cautious out there. Always know the name of the specific beach you're located on, where the closest lifeguard stand is, and pay close attention to those beach flags. Surf height closer towards 1 foot, but that water temperature in the upper 80s. Over the next few days, we will start to see more of that rain coverage continuing. Summertime pattern is here and here to stay with no end in sight. Morning temperatures right around where we should be starting. Daytime highs, no major fluctuations on the horizon with afternoon showers and thunderstorms possible. I'll talk more about your forecast coming up in just a little bit. More Fox 10 Midday is on the way. Happy Friday, everyone. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back. The time now 11:24 on your Friday, and both sides have rested in the federal trial against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. The jury, after 6 weeks of hearing testimony from dozens of witnesses, is hearing closing arguments. Lee Waldman is live outside of the courthouse now. The prosecution went first in delivering their closings Thursday. What did we hear from them, and what are we expecting today from the defense?
After weeks of at times emotional testimony and some explicit pieces of evidence, the trial of embattled hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs is coming to an end. Combs is facing several federal charges, including racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The government claims these crimes spanned over 2 decades. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. The jury, made up of 8 men and 4 women, heard from 34 witnesses called by the prosecution, including 2 of Combs' former girlfriends, Cassie Ventura, and a woman testifying under the alias Jane. Both women testified Combs forced them to engage in sexual encounters referred to as freak-offs and hotel nights. Ventura spoke on the stand about violence she endured throughout the course of her 11-year relationship with Combs. Jurors watched this hotel surveillance video from 2016 showing Combs dragging and kicking Ventura several times throughout the course of the trial. Ventura's attorney read a statement from her after she testified.
I hope that my testimony has given strength and a voice to other survivors and can help others who have suffered to speak up.
Combs' defense team never denied allegations of domestic abuse, but instead argued the 2 women participated willingly in the sexual encounters. Jurors heard from Combs' former personal assistants, a male sex worker, and other former employees. The defense rested its case after less than 30 minutes, only reading text messages into the record. Combs did not testify. In New York, I'm Lee Waldman.
And new on midday this morning, celebrities and protesters have descended on Venice as Amazon billionaire Jeff Bezos gets ready to say I do to his fiancée Lauren Sanchez. While the wedding has headlines, the city's tourism counselor welcomes the event and says it's also bringing cash to the historic city. One protester said they want to use the wedding to spotlight just how unaffordable Venice has become for residents, while others characterize the wedding as a display of excessive wealth in a world of inequality. Well, when we come back, GE announces a nearly $500 million project. We'll have that story and much more coming up in your business headlines. Plus, a utility worker gets the shock of a lifetime after an 18-wheeler runs into them. We'll have that story in just a moment. Thanks for watching Fox 10 Midday on your Friday. Jen and I will be right back.
Committed to you. This is Fox 10 Midday.
Welcome back. Terrifying moments caught on camera as an 18-wheeler slams into a utility worker while fixing a light. Jordan Pronzio has this story from Denham Springs, Louisiana.
Harrowing moments caught on dash cam video. A utility worker working a traffic light, not knowing a semi-truck is headed right for him.
I don't know how that truck could have made that turn without hitting the one pole on one side or hit without hitting the truck.
The truck was making a wide turn onto Range Avenue from I-12 in Denham Springs when the top of it bumped the bucket, flipping the man upside down. Luckily, the worker had his harness on.
That is a mandate that we have. When you're in that bucket truck, you will be having that harness on.
Bill Atkinson, who gave us the dash cam video, told WBRZ, quote, "What I was most surprised by was that there was no signs or lanes blocked off, and the other workers were in the truck in the air conditioning." Fred Rayford, Director of Transportation and Drainage in Baton Rouge, said in EBR Parish they do what they can to make sure drivers notice the workers.
Anytime people are working in the roadway, there's signage, and there'll be signage that be put up that's required, or there'll be barricades up to show this part of the lane is going to be closed.
DOTD told WBRZ that cones, signage, and lane closures are sometimes required and sometimes they are not. They declined our request for an interview while they are investigating. The worker reportedly had minor injuries and did not go to the hospital.
Safety is always the #1 priority for us.
What a wild story. So glad that man is okay. Well, listen to this. Dramatic body camera video shows the moment Massachusetts police officers rescue a man stuck in the mud. You can see officers climbing through the mud themselves, pushing through those thick reeds. The search began after this man's family reported him missing late Sunday morning. Officers showing how they were able to find him using a drone.
It's just a great, useful tool, and it's real time.
With that help from that neighbor, we were able to kind of get a better idea of where he was at and head to that location.
Now, leading to this moment, police found him at least 7 hours after he originally went missing, and officers say the man was disoriented and dehydrated. He also had 2 cats with him. Officers were then able to form a path back out of the woods, navigating everyone to safety. And meanwhile, an 8-year-old was rescued by firefighters after being trapped in a sewer for hours. According to Chinese firefighters in Guizhou, she was stuck in the sewer for, get this, 7 hours. The southwestern province has been hit with heavy rain and floods since June 17th.
Taking another look at your forecast, and we're taking a live view outside on the Bayway and the Causeway. Slow moving traffic in case you're heading out westbound anytime soon. Here's eastbound, quite a big gap in between cars, so it's going to be moving a lot more smoothly. The Causeway also looks great. You can even see a little bit of that causeway flooding over there for that on-ramp in case you're traveling eastbound anytime soon. So just pack your patience in case you're heading out, but my main takeaway there, the Causeway is the way to go in case you're heading out the door anytime soon. Just take that detour into Spanish Fort if you're traveling from Baldwin to Mobile counties. Let's go ahead and talk more about the forecast out there, and temperatures resting in the lower 80s in Fairhope, West Mobile resting in the mid 80s, dew points lower to mid 70s. So the feels like temperatures, they aren't straying away terribly. It's 8 degrees difference in West Mobile, and then just starting to see that 5-degree difference closer towards Fairhope. And so that's courtesy of the lower humidity. Those dew points lower to mid 70s. A reminder at the beginning of the week when we were already in the triple digits by this point, those dew points were getting closer towards 80 degrees. So it really is the big difference that humidity will make out there. Already beginning to introduce some of those pop-up showers and thunderstorms. Some of these firing off mainly for our Mississippi counties so far to begin. Things are really active closer towards Bendale, down towards Wade, and also closer towards Dantzler and Ramsey Springs. So heavy downpours, frequent lightning, some gusty winds will be possible. We're really right now just producing some loud thunderstorms out there. Portions of Washington County also starting to see some of those pop-up showers closer towards Fruitdale down into Vinegar Bend and Wally along with Seaboard. Just make sure you're driving carefully in case you're heading out on 45 anytime soon. Timing things out in our Futurecast is already struggling for today. Not surprised. It typically doesn't do very well with our summertime pattern. That's why it's the main purpose of this is to take away the timing, not so much the placement, because it will just start to be random where we notice some of these developing heading into the rest of today. Higher chance for some of these to start to pop up as we continue into the early part of the afternoon, but the main timing will be later on today, especially after 3 o'clock. That's when we start to notice more of that coverage beginning to ramp up and possibly impacting those dinner plans. Once again, those heavy downpours, frequent lightning, gusty winds, small hail, all possible within any of these storms. Drive carefully if you have outdoor plans. Just be flexible. It's meteorologist Matt Barentine reminds you for the morning, don't cancel anything. Just be flexible with anything that you do have going on outdoors in case you have to head inside. When thunder roars, go indoors, because we've been getting a lot of reports of that cloud to ground lightning, meaning it's striking something on the ground. It's always best just to head into your vehicle in case you are outdoors. The good news is that some of these storms are still pretty quick moving. We start to see some of those just wanting to stay a little stationary towards Washington and Clark County heading into tonight. So just make sure, again, take away, be cautious in case you are spending any time outside. Once that sun sets, those storm chances begin to fizzle down. Now, temperatures heading into today, upper 80s, still feeling closer towards really the mid 90s. I think this one's exaggerating just a bit because of that lower humidity that we're going to start to see out there. But a live view outside down in Orange Beach, some nice conditions out there, nice calm water. A lot of folks getting out and enjoying it. Perdido Pass looks fantastic, but the Rip Current at our local beaches low today and tomorrow, but heads up by Sunday it's bumping up to moderate, staying that way heading into the early part of next week. Be cautious, know the name of the beach you're located updated on where that closest lifeguard stand is. Mainly noticing those yellow flags for today, plus also some purple flags. That's just signifying some of the jellyfish out there. Checking in on the tropics, one area that we're monitoring closer towards the southern Gulf, possibly heading into tomorrow. I'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit, but don't worry, no concerns really. Here's what I'm tracking over the next 7 days. Summertime pattern continues with no end in sight. I'll talk more about your forecast and what we're tracking in the tropics coming up in just a bit. Ashlyn.
All right, thanks, Jen. Well, heads up now if you're in the area of Museum Drive. The City of Mobile and the Mobile Film Office will be working on a film with local first responders in that area. So if you hear gunfire, don't be alarmed. The filming will include the limited use of blank gunfire that might be heard in the areas around Langham Park, the Mobile Museum of Art, and Playhouse at the park. If you have any questions or concerns, though, you can always contact the Mobile Police Department at their non-emergency number. Off-duty officers will be on site as well. And don't worry, the production will not have any impact on traffic. Well, there's a lot going on this weekend on the Gulf Coast, and if you like live music, downtown Mobile is the place to be tonight. It's a long lineup list of artists. Gene Merle is playing live at Moe's Original Barbecue from 6 to 9 p.m. Bronson Webb will be live over at Oyster City Brewing Mobile from 6 to 10 p.m., while Cat Deal Band will be at the Icebox Bar from 6:30 to 10 p.m. tonight. And an evening with Rupert Yates is happening at the People's Room of Mobile starting at 8 o'clock. Big Blues Night at the Merry Widow as Blues Hall of Famer Bobby Rush will be live starting at 8 p.m. Be sure to check it out. There's certainly something for everyone. Well, calling all Blink 182 fans, the band Blink 281 is playing tonight at Soul Kitchen, and it's just going to be a fun night paying tribute to the band Blink 182. Tickets are $18 in advance, $23 at the door. Doors open at 7. The concert starts at 8. But just a note, this is an 18 and over concert, and anyone under 21 has to pay a $5 surcharge. You can grab those tickets at soulkitchenmobile.com. Well, GE announces a nearly $500 million project. Weight Watchers will sell Wegovy and a Real ID reminder from the TSA. Plus, how the New York Yankees are celebrating Seinfeld night. Fox's CJ Papa has today's business headlines.
A multi-million-dollar investment for GE Appliances, which says it will move production of washing machines from China to its headquarters in Louisville, Kentucky. The $490 million investment leading to the creation of 800 jobs. In a statement, the company writing, "We are bringing laundry production to our global headquarters in Louisville because manufacturing in the U.S. is fundamental to our zero-distance business strategy to make appliances as close as possible to our customers and consumers." Pharmaceutical company Novo Nordisk announcing a collaboration with Weight Watchers to sell the popular weight loss drug Wegovy. They're offering it up at a much lower price of $299. Weight Watchers subscribers will be able to access the drug starting Tuesday. The TSA is reminding the flying public that a Waffle House ID will not work as an alternative to a real ID. That message being sent in response to a viral post of a traveler calling it the realest ID. The TSA responding saying, respectfully, no, Waffle House IDs will not suffice as a real ID alternative. Sorry. Earlier this month, TSA warned Americans their Costco cards also won't fly at airport security. The U.S. began requiring a real ID for all domestic flights in May. And it's officially the summer of George. The Yankees are celebrating Seinfeld night with a new bobblehead of the team's former employee, George Costanza, sleeping under his desk. 18,000 lucky fans get one on August 21st when the Yankees host the Boston Red Sox. CJ Papa, Fox News.
Well, attention flyers, one major airline updates its mobile app features to make connecting flights a whole lot easier. United Airlines customers with connecting flights at United Hub airports in the U.S. can now utilize a special section of the mobile app. The new app features include a countdown to boarding, directions to gates, and real-time flight status updates. The airline says if a traveler misses a connection, the app will provide rebooking options, which is also also really helpful. And the airline adds it's beta tested the feature in the spring with a 98% success rate. Well, straight ahead, Starbucks is redesigning its stores. We'll tell you why. Plus, a California woman is living it up on a cruise ship. We'll have those details after this. Welcome back. Starbucks stores open at least a year have dealt with declining sales for 5 consecutive quarters.
And now Starbucks hopes to win back customers by redesigning 1,000 of its U.S. locations.
Wow. The concept includes plans to return to a warm and welcoming coffee house feel with comfy chairs, couches, tables, and power outlets. Love the sound of that.
Thank you. New colors and lighting will also be added.
And the renovations will take place over the next year.
Starbucks aims to make changes to all of its U.S. stores within the next 3 years. I'm here for it. We have one by our work and love the people there, but it's always just cold feeling when you walk in because it's just straight chairs and tables and that's it. Heavy metal ones that scrape on the ground whenever you move them.
And here's the thing, there are more coffee shops popping up now more than ever as well. So I actually did get a matcha from Starbucks this morning because it's convenient. But I typically go to 7 Brew, places like that, just because everyone has a different vibe and a different feel.
Bring the cozy vibes.
I'm ready for it. Well, retirees now have another option for how to spend their golden years.
How does life on a cruise ship sound?
A 77-year-old woman from California is doing just that. Sharon Lane moved on to the Via V Odyssey cruise ship in mid-June.
Via V Odyssey is a new residential ship traveling around the world, and it sets sail in September.
Its cabins are sold on a permanent basis or at least 15 years, starting at $129,000 for an inside stateroom.
Monthly fees of $3,000 for a single occupancy are additional.
So as you can see, it's not cheap, but Lane says compared to living in California, well, it's a deal.
Food and soft drinks are free, and get this, so is alcohol at dinner, Wi-Fi, and medical visits.
Wow. There's also entertainment, room service, weekly housekeeping, and bi-weekly laundry service at no extra cost.
My takeaway from this, it sounds pricey at the beginning, but everything that you get included in that, if you break it down for one person, it's about $750 a week.
Wow, okay.
But think of how much you spend on groceries, on utilities, on Wi-Fi.
So you might as well do it on a cruise ship.
Exactly.
Miss Sharon, you're living the dream.
Really? Like, it wasn't terrible when I listened to it. And the $3,000 was for single occupancy. It was $4,000 for double.
Sounds like you're serious about this.
I like that.
We might catch you on a cruise ship.
I know,
You might
right?
just disappear off the face of the earth one day and you'll just be traveling around the world.
$130,000?
Well, a sheriff's deputy's use of a drone is key in bringing home a missing cow and donkey.
Fox's Doug Evans reports.
State Road 92, as it runs through Fayette County, is a busy, busy road. So when they get a 911 call about livestock in the middle of the road in the middle of the night, they take that very seriously because an accident could be catastrophic for everyone. But this is not that kind of story. No, this is the story about a donkey and his best friend, the cow. They're midnight wanderers. Also, a deputy who learns his drone has a secret talent for wrangling. Meet Canelo the donkey and his best friend, Mariposa the cow. They're not just friends, but co-conspirators when it comes to escape and late-night escapades in their Fayette County neighborhood. On such a night, deputies were called to livestock on the road. Here's thermal imagery from a Fayette County Sheriff's Office drone. The drone could see Canelo and Mariposa, but in the pitch black, the pilot admits with the naked eye,
I couldn't find them. So the Sheriff's Office gives me tools to use every day, and one of them is the drone, and it has a FLIR system on it, and it's nice. So I told my supervisor, I'm about to go airborne. I want to see where I can find them. When I did that, we found the animals. And 5 feet from the roadway, they real close to those cars coming down the road.
Deputy Stapleton lowered his drone for a better view, and that's when he discovered his quadcopter was more cowboy than he realized. The distinctive buzz of the prop sent Canelo and Mariposa hoofing it for home. Who knew herding was so easy? No one at the sheriff's office, until now. Would you do it again the same way? I mean, now that you know that it works, Is that your go-to tool for rounding up animals?
Absolutely. Even the sheriff said he wants to give me a cowboy hat, so I guess I learned a new way of doing a cowboy. So, absolutely.
After a night on the run from the long arm of Johnny Law, Canelo and Mariposa were utterly eager to be led by their owners back to the pasture across the road, all closely watched from the sky by Stapleton and his drone. They're back home now, until their next adventure. In Fayette County, Doug Evans, Fox 5 News.
I love the drone rescue because I feel like we've had drones in the news a lot lately, nationally and locally.
Right.
I don't know if you remember a couple of months ago, maybe a month ago now, a fisherman in Pensacola used his drone to
help save some people. Yeah, send some life vests out there. We had it for the zebra story where they captured the zebra
Oh my goodness,
too.
that's true.
Yeah, so
drones could be the future of rescue.
they really are. They're already there.
Well, we'll be right back with 3 to know before you go. We are taking a live look.
Yep, right outside at the Bayway and the Causeway. Beat the traffic, take the Causeway. Still some flooding out there on the Causeway. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back. It's time for your 3 to know before you go on your Friday. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers hosting a ribbon cutting next week, and they're celebrating their new regional headquarters. Take a look at that picture behind me. The newly constructed Civic Center multi-story parking garage. The ceremony is set for 9 Monday morning. We'll get our first look inside both facilities. Now, the nearly $39 million 6-level parking garage is next to the Army Corps building, which is located near the Civic Center construction site. Also this morning, a lot is happening at the Mobile International Airport and its terminal project. Take a look. This video posted on the airport's Facebook page. It says the terminal's core and shell are almost done. Curtain wall installation is underway as we speak, and they expect to dry in the building very soon. The airport also says concrete is being poured for the parking garage's east section, with its completion set for March of next year. And finally today, participants in the Distinguished Young Women program are gearing up for the 68th National Finals in Mobile. The community got its first look at the 50 distinguished young women from around the country as they stepped on stage at the Singer Theater earlier this week. The first round of prelims are in the books, and the second round will be held tonight, with finals set for tomorrow. That's when the Distinguished Young Woman of America will be named. And it's not too late to get those tickets. You can get them by heading on over to our website, fox10tv.com. Jen, I was there last night. I'll be there the rest of the weekend because, as you know, I'm hosting 2 girls who are competing from Louisiana and Washington. We've had such an amazing 2 weeks, and we're cheering them on every step of the way. So they competed in talent last night, which was incredible, and they compete in self-expression and fitness tonight. So very proud of them.
Good luck to all the girls out there. Let's go ahead and take a final look at your forecast. Now, again, I teased this just a little bit just because I didn't have time to talk fully about it, but checking in on the tropics, we do have this one area that we're monitoring. It's an area of low pressure that we're anticipating to move or to develop and move into the Bay of Campeche heading into tomorrow. Low chances of development. Not looking likely for it. However, it'll still be increased rainfall closer towards Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, possibly even southern Texas. No concern for us. Chances are low for any of that development. Still just something to keep an eye on and remind you that hurricane season is here. We have until November 30th. Stay updated. Be cautious what you see on social media. But here locally, we are just dealing with our regular summertime pattern here on the Gulf Coast. Rain chances every single day, mainly popping up heading into the afternoon and the evening. Some of them could pack a punch. Heavy downpours, frequent lightning, gusty winds, small hail. You know how it goes, but that's what we are seeing for the remainder of this pattern. This does continue until next weekend. I meant to show the 10-day, but again, this is going to continue through the 4th of July. Just be flexible with those plans. Temperatures staying in the upper 80s and the lower 90s out there. Hot, toasty, humid, stay hydrated, take breaks, find some ways to cool down.
All the things. Any fun plans for this weekend?
We are taking the boat out tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, so excited for that.
Where's my invite? I'm just kidding.
I know, right? I know. Right? We're hopeful taking the daughter out, so we're having fun with that.
It
You?
should be beautiful. I'm going to the beach. Going to take a long nap on the beach. It should be beautiful. Thank you all so much for watching Fox 10 Midday. We'll see you at 3 p.m. and have a great rest of your weekend.
Be safe this weekend.
Oh, yes.